Howdy, just a little intro for what you're about to see. This is an interview with the great superstar, Terry McGovern. He was at this past TFCon Toronto, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't know much about Mr. McGovern before I sat down and chatted with him. He did a panel the night before with Victor Caroli, who was the narrator of the original Transformers show and the movie. And Terry, if I may use the word warrior, I like to use that word. Terry is one, because he wasn't feeling great. I think he said he may have had a bad peanut on the plane on the way to Toronto. So it knocked him down, but not for the count. He did make the panel. He came in about halfway through, and it was so fun and funny watching the two of them, Victor and Terry, just riffing back and forth. Great team. And then the next day he was signing autographs, and I went up to him. I asked him for a quick, short interview, and he gave me what is honestly one of the most fun, enjoyable interviews I've ever done. He was so generous with his time. I kind of felt a little bit like Gimli after he met Galadriel in Lord of the Rings. I asked him for 5 minutes of his time. He gave me 11. And he's hilarious. He was just cracking me up the whole time. So he doesn't do very many conventions anymore, but if you see Terry McGovern appearing at a convention near you, possibly in California, or maybe you'll come back to Toronto, TFCon Toronto someday, I strongly recommend that you roll out and go meet Terry McGovern, because when I went to TFCon, the main guys I wanted to meet were Simon Furman and Bob Budiansky, and I thought, oh, Gary Chalk, that's cool too. And wow, Stan Bush is going to be there. But Terry McGovern ended up being one of the highlights for me, just because he's just such an awesome guy, hilarious and pure class. So I'd highly recommend going to one of the few appearances that he still makes. If you go up to him and you don't know what to talk about, I don't know, maybe as an icebreaker you can tell him Mike from the Toronto Con says hi, and he won't know who you're talking about. So you could say, Michael Mercy, TFCon Toronto, he was in a Blue Jay shirt, and Terry will just look at you with an odd look and still doesn't ring a bell, but the ice will be broken, and then you could go from there, and you'll have a blast chatting with him. So check him out at any appearances he might make in the future, and he's got some audiobooks on audible.com. You can find them just by searching Terrence McGovern, a little bit more professional on Audible. But if you want to show some support on there, you can get one of his audiobooks and leave a great rating and mention how great and calm and soothing, like butter mixed with Canadian maple syrup, is on one of those audiobooks. So here's the interview with superstar Terry McGovern. Terry, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me at TFCon Toronto. Can I interest you in a microphone?
I'm trying to quit.
Shall we start the interview off with the obligatory handshake? Make it look like we're old friends? No? Fist bump?
It's so corny, don't you think?
How about a thumbs up?
Yeah.
Salute?
I mean, that's my opinion. Where are we? We ready?
Talking to the world famous Terry McGovern.
If you live in a very small world.
And sir, you are sitting on hallowed ground. This is the exact spot I spoke to Dan Gilvezan at. Dan Gilvezan.
Hey. Who?
Exactly. How have you
Danny, God bless him.
How have you enjoyed TFCon?
You have yet to tell me your name.
Michael,
okay.
Mike is fine.
All right.
Your panel with Victor.
And it was what?
Amazing.
Oh.
They're losing now. They're nodding off. They came out to a con and found themselves another damn writers' stuff.
It was amazing.
In what way?
It was very entertaining, just watching the two of you play off each other.
We're professionals.
You're simply the best.
Yeah.
It's what we do.
But it was really interesting to hear his side of the story because he was kind of separated from the rest of the cast. You were with all the other Sunbow crew. So
True.
it was really cool to see coast-to-coast coverage
It was.
of how those
cool.
days were.
It was cool.
What are you working on these days?
Nothing. I'm retired. I live up in Northern California, and I have grandchildren and an acting class I go to and teach, and whatever job comes down the pike. I'm doing some book narrations, audio books. They used to call them books on tape. I love it. I have a nice little studio, get a good book, and read it and edit it and send it off, and they pay you. I dropped my jaw, held my comb suspended in midair, and turned toward Mr. Fitzgerald. "Pardon me," I said. "You aren't Mr. F. Scott Fitzgerald, are you?"
You have a very soothing voice. It's perfect for that.
Well, thank you.
It's like butter.
Like butter.
It's butter and Canadian maple syrup mixed in together.
Unfortunately, I'm diabetic. No, I think of that every time I make pancakes, which I do for my kids, but I have to use the sugarless variety. I every once in a while sneak some real Canadian stuff on there. It's the best.
Absolutely. Do you have some other conventions that you want to plug? Other
No, I
appearances?
don't. I don't have anything else coming up this year. I only do about 3 a year, and this is my third. I did. The last one I did was Orlando. Toronto, Orlando.
Yep. It's pretty much the same thing.
Pretty much the same thing.
Well, it is today if you go outside. It's hot out there.
Is it? It's raining though.
Oh, it is now, but just earlier it was sweltering.
Oh, we've had terrible heat in Northern California. It's been awful.
I'm talking weather with one of the TF legends here. TFCon is incredible.
Yeah, and Transformers, we hate when it rains because we rust.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. I just being silly.
I know it was a very long time ago, but Wildrider, the character that you voiced.
I remember doing Wildrider because it hurt my voice.
I'm Wildrider, and I want to bust something up!
And I have a vague recollection of Onslaught.
Onslaught! Who are you? And what are we doing in these crude carcasses?
But like you say, it was a long, long time ago. And a galaxy far away.
I should have asked you about Lucasfilm. We're almost out of time
I'm
here.
mixing my. Oh, are we?
Well,
We're a
how
little
much
late,
time-
folks. That'll be it for now.
How much time do you want?
I don't know. You just said we're running out of time.
Well, I don't want to take more than 5 minutes of your time, but if you're enjoying the chat, then I will stick around.
You know how to edit.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, then we're
That's-
fine. You
that's
can
what
cut
I
this
do.
down to 30 seconds.
I'll cut it down to 10 hours if you want, sir. You worked with Lucasfilm in the early days?
I did.
Look, sir, droid. We don't need to see his identification.
I worked on George's.
THX?
We call him George.
I call him Uncle George.
Uncle George,
It's a
yeah.
running joke.
No, I worked with George on. First thing I did with him was the voices for THX 1138 for the for the studio version. You ever see the student version of
Yes,
THX?
yes,
It's
when I was a
wonderful.
student.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
But I worked on the. I did voices for the feature film. I was the confessional. Remember that?
Vaguely?
What's wrong? Take 2 red pills and see me in the morning.
What's wrong? Take 4 red capsules. In 10 minutes, take 2 more.
And various and sundry other films. And one day I showed up late because I was actually in the Army Reserves at the time. So that weekend I had to be on duty. And I came to the session late and I brought my friend with me. Big tall guy named Bill Wookie. My best pal, still is.
Wookie.
And I came in, this is in anticipation of you asking me, but clearly you weren't going to anyway. But the point is, and I introduced him to George. I said, this is my friend Bill Wookie. And that was it. We went into the studio and did what I did. And 5 years later, after Star Wars came out, they said, where did you get the name Wookie? He said, and I have it in print, in Rolling Stone. It says, a voice actor I used a lot, Terry McGovern. We were driving along in a car. I was never in a car with George, ever. We were driving along in a car, and we hit a bump, and I said, what was that, Terry? And Terry said, I think we ran over my pet Wookiee. I didn't say any of that, but what a great story.
Don't let the truth get in the way of
No,
the
no,
story.
but I mean, it was a story woven by the greatest storyteller of our time.
Yeah.
So when anybody asked me if that was Joyce, absolutely. Not till now have I disclaimed it. But yeah, things stuck in his head, and he took that name and gave me credit for it, and I appreciate that. That was fun. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you.
That's
today.
it.
We can keep going if you want. I'm so used to everyone going, get out of here.
Get out of here.
This
Well,
is-
what do you? Let me ask you. I do a lot of interviews in my life. What are you doing here?
What's that?
Why are you here? What is your interest in being here?
I'm here for you guys. So I'm a toy collector. I've got a pretty decent toy collection, and I started doing YouTube videos about them. So just basically more about what they mean to me more than how the truck turns into a man. And I did a video about why Prime to me is one of the ultimate heroes, talking about his self-sacrificing nature and all that good positive
You know,
stuff.
he's short.
Well, that's fine. He can wear lifts. But basically,
I'm just kidding, Michael.
everything you can hear in a Standler song is what I try to do with my videos. So I got to the point where I don't really need anything else. I'm not looking for anything else. I think it's cool that how excited some of these people get over, like, wow, that's awesome. But I came here for the guests this year to watch the panels, and I had a blast.
So I've only been doing cons since 2019. I got into it kind of late. A guy called me one day and said, "You Terry McGovern?" I said, "Yes." He said, "We thought you were dead."
What are you, Snake Plissken?
That was the opening line, huh? What a beginning to a friendship. But he said, "No, we didn't know where you were. You're up in Northern California. You disappeared. Would you like to do Comic-Cons? What are they?" He explained it. I said, "Sounds like fun." So I did my first one in Pensacola, and I've done, I guess, a dozen. I don't do a lot, but I've done a dozen, and they've all been great. This was particularly fun and important to me because the one here in Toronto, because last year I showed up at the airport in San Francisco and was stricken with the worst sciatic pain I've ever had in my life. So much so that I screamed. I let out a scream. I mean, if you've ever had this pain, you know what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, I was 5 feet from the walkway to the plane, so all the other passengers were gathered around, and needless to say, they became alarmed.
Did they say, wait, that's just Onslaught reversing?
No, is this guy getting on the plane? And I said, no, I'm not, and I went home. So I missed it, and I felt terrible because Colin Douglas is really just about the best con producer there is, and I felt terrible. So I was very happy when he re-invited me this year, and I finally got to come to Canada. And where's your money? Do you have your money on you?
Yes, I do have some money.
For those of people watching your YouTube channel who aren't from Canada, look at this. See, you can even see through it.
You want more colors? We got more colors.
Yeah, and every denomination is a different color.
We got green money.
And Her Majesty's still on the currency. Hello, I'm still dead, but I'm worth $20 Canadian.
We have a pink 50, but I spent them all on autographs.
It's
and
absolutely incredible money. I love it.
It's plastic too.
And I love your country.
Oh,
It's a great place.
Thank you.
Everyone is so nice. And aside from the speech impediment, I find this a really...
Thanks.
I'm only joking. But they do say a boot. Okay?
What are you talking about?
Nice to meet you, Michael.
Great meeting you too.
You're a good guy. Go Blue Jays.
Yeah, I haven't followed them since the Molitor days.
Oh, so, yeah.
But yeah, go Blue Jays someday.
All right, kiddo. Nice to meet you.
Thank
Sure,
you.
let's shake hands.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.